Hey friends, today's topic is the Dustfield grenade. I know that Swarm is getting a nerf. I don't think it's going to be a significant enough nerf because I valued these nades before they were even buffed, so they're still better than they used to be. And now they're on most players' radar because they understand how free this grenade is in its current form for area denial. In its simplest, weakest form, this is how I would use it back when Invis was very powerful. So somebody would pop like Invis, and you want to close out one of their approaches. Like, let's say you think they're going to flank the diamond. Just put this right here, and now they can no longer flank the diamond. You hug the wall right here, and if they're close, your radar highlights red to signify that they're around the closest corner, probably like right there. Or you pull out your info stick, get threat detector on either of your guns, and you've sussed out where the invis player is most likely, all because you put a swarm nade that kind of limited their options. So, swarm nade, really, really powerful. I don't have to sell you on this grenade. Y'all know how powerful it is. Even after the nerf, it's still going to be powerful. Players are still going to use it. But I think they have another choice now because Duskfield is almost as good, and in specific scenarios, even better. And I'll show you some of those specific scenarios. So let's first talk about our build options. We have Renewal Grasp, which gives our Duskfield grenade a crystal. This crystal is extremely useful. You can also play this on Revenant with Renewal Grasp because you build up Frost Armor for just sitting in the grenade like this. See it on the bottom left? That gives me damage resistance, and with Whisper Torment, it gives me my grenade energy back faster. So this is a great way in a team environment to make sure you always have a Duskfield for your opening plays as a team. You also get faster freeze from the Duskfield, so if someone's like around the corner of these boxes, you either throw your shurikens to insta-freeze and slam down, or you just wait a second until they accept the freeze and shatter dive down or slide the corner, punch them, whatever it takes. You don't have to run Renewal Grasp on Revenant if you do want the crystal, because Touch of Winter already gives you the crystal. And I find this crystal super useful for platforming, and I use it with Gemini Jester, the standard Revenant setup for me. Also, Stompies is really good because you can jump higher, which means you can have higher platform opportunities. Prism has a trick up its sleeve with that. Let's talk about the Prism builds first. So you have either Renewal Grasp or the class item. It gives you the Frost Armor, but not the crystal. You can combine this with Cert Arachnid so you have damage resist from body shots, and it all stacks together. So if you're playing against a team that uses pellet shotguns, I guess Conditional Finality can still beat you in this scenario, but they really do have to land every pellet and a melee to succeed in this scenario, and it's just not. Look at the radius of this. That edge to edge is what you can play around with the slug shotgun. It is so useful. And then you also have the crystal too, if you wanted to close the gap without getting shot, just to make sure you have that slug opportunity. So that alone is what sells me on Renewal Grasp. It's so strong. But it is a map-dependent pick, like I was going to say. I'm going to give you some common scenarios here for Trials openers. So let's start red side. I make it to around here, and my choices are clear based on the radar. If I see someone's at Blue Street, throw my nade down, and look at the amount of area this covers. This isn't ideally where I'd want it to land, but they can't cross from Blue Street to Diamond and vice versa. Especially if it lands like right here. That one's perfect, because it will catch them in the slow, which can effectively take them out of the fight because they can't get anywhere to help their teammates in time. So if you see you got two slows on Blue Street, and the only other red ping is right here in glass, I think you'd be really aggressive on this player with your team if possible. And that costs you one Duskfield grenade to get that. The difference between Swarm and Smoke is if you're on a Dawn Blade and just use Icarus Dash or Titan and use Shoulder Charge, if you put your Swarm and Smokes right there, the same exact place, you might not get value out of it because they've already crossed the Diamond and they're pretty healthy. At most, you took away 20 of their health. And they also got away, so Renewal Grasp, way better for that area denial right there. Of course, they can do the NA as dumb play and run through the slow anyway to shoot you in the back. But a lot of players don't have aim like that, and they're not going to be that useful. You do lose accuracy when you're slowed, if I'm not mistaken. So if I see red at Blue Street, throw the grenade there. Otherwise, I'm focused on this common lane where everyone throws their swarms. And that is probably the best value you can get on this map for an opener. I wait until I see the red flicker, and I throw my nade down. And now I can just stand at this corner without getting shot while building up my frost armor, which is my damage resistance. And now we've choked them into glass and into their spawn, and we can play an outside or inside zone, all for the low cost of a Duskfield grenade. And I still have the smoke too, if I wanted to use the smoke. So now let's reverse the roles. Let's say I'm on blue side. Blue side's the inferior side. Switch to swarm for a second, just to show you where the swarm lands every single game. So you can't be standing right here. It's also kind of a bad place to be, so you have a couple options. Option number one is play Blink or Stompies and just get here faster. Chaperone, sprint speed, whatever. You take this risk by jumping to B. You might take some damage, you might get swarmed out, but your reward is really good map position to help your team. Option number two is a little more aggressive, and you are just jumping over this. If you see red on the radar around diamond in this curve, be prepared to throw your own abilities to force them back to free you up the opportunity to peek diamond and put some damage in for your team. How Duskfield changes this is you now have an easy way into rocket, which is very helpful during power ammo rounds. So this is scenario number one. Unfortunately, I got our team there. Scenario number one. Use this to break line of sight and slide in. You also have the damage resist while you do it. It's super useful. Gets you in with very minimal damage taken. You can stop things like power ammo. The next option, remember this is a toolbox, is take the elevated angle. They're not going to be pre-aiming up. Even if they see the crystal right here, it's ambiguous. You don't have to jump. You can even make the jump sound and then just peek head level. So they have to guess. They're not going to be pre-aimed on you unless they're on the sauce or got lucky. If you do make it to rocket without the Duskfield, like your radar isn't highlighted at all, you have plenty of options. You can hop up on this rocket spot, wait for them to peek. You can set up a crystal here to overlook garage. You can save your Duskfield, stay playing normally, and let's say they're at garage, you put some damage in. You look at the radar to see where the isolated player might be. Throw a Duskfield at garage, and now boom, they can't help their teammate anymore. Hop over table, put your damage in, and try to delete that player before the teammates get unslowed. Very, very simple playstyle, and I know some of you are rolling your eyes. Not every Destiny player is an expert, and some of this information they're hearing for the first time ever. If you want to be really extra, you can put Ascension on instead of running the standard clone to get some very unique angles. Like if I was on controller, I don't have the dexterity to use Ascension and be very, very specific with my jumping like this, like I can on MMK. So I do this combo in reverse from far away. Just, for example, you can break your crystal with Ascension. So this is my setup. Sorry. This is my setup. You want to stay away from your crystal if possible. And then you can just jump to it, and now you have an elevated platform, which is very, very useful. One of the many things this grenade can do. So I hope that gives you an example of map situations where Duskfield is superior to Swarm Grenade, even its current form. There are going to be maps where this is not a great idea. Like, for example, maybe Altar of Flame. There's not that many valuable choke points and a lot of floating Dawn Blades that you're not going to be able to AoE. Even the zone locations aren't that great for this grenade. So you can still use it as kind of like a pseudo barricade where you throw this down just to tank some damage and try to help your team by getting crossfires. But like in reality, you're much better off running Stompy and Swarm Grenade or Grapple on those awkward maps like Altar of Flame, unless you're like a platforming god and know every possible elevator angle. Or not even an elevator angle. Look at this. I'm going to turn this into a head glitch. Now I have cover that most people aren't even aware they're getting hit from. So it's great. Catch a lot of people off guard with playing those. Unfortunately, this is a turnback zone, even though this is kind of the same thing. So keep that in mind. And you can do this on a lot of different maps. Let me see if I can get this one a little better. It's too high. But you get the point. You can be very, very creative with these crystals. And As a result, you have many more options as a team and as an individual to make those critical plays for your team. I think I went through everything here. The 4 setups, which is Prism Renewal, Prism Exotic Class Item, Stasis Renewal, or Stasis Dealer's Choice. They're all great. Let's talk about the weapons now. The Oversoul Pulse Rifle is incredible because of high ground. By doing the platforming ratting thing, your time to kill is now 0.73, which is borderline indistinguishable from Elsie's 0.67, from No Time to Explain, Red Death, whatever. On the ground floor, though, at head level, you will lose to Elsie. But your reward for hitting your time to kill despite that, like they miss a shot, is you proc Facet of Solitude, and you get your invis and your wall hacks from Stylish Executioner. Or if there's slightly a damage drop off or whatever, you might have the edge on an Elsie's rifle. It's too specific. I don't recommend this unless you're a controller player that's relatively new to the game. You don't have that much dexterity. In my opinion, it's actually an easier frame to use than high impact frame, despite Elsie being so juiced on stats. Of course, with just a little bit of practice, Elsie's is the better pick, but this frame does have some value, and you gain a lot of that value when you abuse the high ground perk, because once you get your kill from above, you can drop to the ground floor head level, and now you still have a 0.73 time to kill at base. So it's fantastic. Chain that wall hacks in the Chaperone, and if that's not your speed, Hawkmoon procs the wall hacks, SMGs, Thorn, lightweight sidearms, rapid sidearms, whatever. Like, they can all proc Facet of Solitude. Past that, I think I've explained everything there is to this build. These are the mods. This is not my finalized setup. I would go 10-10 and possibly drop a fragment to make that happen. I was really lazy in D2 Armor Picker and just sort of threw the first thing that made any remote sense for trials. I don't know how I'm getting my supers faster than both my opponents and my teammates. I didn't feel like I was playing incredible, and yet Deadfall Tier 5 is beating every super in the game at 10 intellect, and I'm closing the game oftentimes before they even use their super. So, yeah, fantastic. So, let's make one little prediction here with this video. You content creators do have a little bit of power swaying the meta. I do think after Swarm Grenade gets nerfed that Duskfield and then Renewal Grasp combos are going to arise in the meta. You're going to see triple hunter teams using maybe 2 Renewal Duskfields and 1 Omni Oculus. And between those 3 on maps like Javelin 4, the map is going to be completely shut down. You're going to feel so overwhelmed because they're going to be using Blink to get through dangerous choke points. And then they're going to be using Renewals to take away your space and take away your teammates' ability to get places to help the team fight. Hope that makes sense. Anyway, friends, hope this explanation was thorough and appreciated that it's thorough. The gameplay is not going to be too crazy, just a very standard Trials game. Remember, Trials is random matchmaking. If I was searching for the hardest opponents possible, I could be in there for hours without ever getting a team that shoots back. That's just how it is sometimes. It's what the players asked for. Trials isn't for me, but this map was perfect for showing off Renewal Grasp. So I hope you understand that.
Protect your team in this fight. You'll need each other. Left, That is the round. Giving the ghosts a lot of practice. Your team has the lead. Hold tight to it. Only one enemy is left. Good. Your enemy is down. You're in the league. Let your opponents chase you all they want. Only one enemy is left. Oh, I have been waiting for this. But one handles very good. They are getting tired.